Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show. Joe Rogan was in the White House recently announcing the FDA approval of Ibogaine. It is a new drug used to cure opioid addiction and post-traumatic stress disorder. And a lot of ex-military are using this. A lot of veterans are talking about the tremendous benefits in their life that they are seeing from using this. And not a lot of people know about the drug. I had no idea what it was. So joining me today is a veteran that is taking Ibogaine. Mike, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Of course. Mike, tell me, what is Ibogaine?
So I'm not going to claim to understand it fully, but Ibogaine, it's an African root. They powder it, and you take a drink of it, and in 72 hours, you experience a total psychological dissolution, followed by a sort of repair process that has left me personally in an entirely changed and different state of mind.
Well, that sounds amazing. Tell me about some of the things you were going through before getting on Ibogaine.
Sure. So I served 2 tours in Iraq.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely. I spent my high school graduation in boot camp. I started right away. And I experienced combat. I experienced murder. I experienced killing. And all these things used to haunt me. When I got back, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I could drink. And I started to do oxycodone just to manage the pain and the stress.
How is Ibogaine helped with that? Because what you just described is what I hear from a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It is very hard when you return from war. How has Ibogaine helped you with all of the things that you went through?
Well, since taking Ibogaine about a week and a half ago, I experienced a total liberation from any sort of judgment I had on the situations I was put in, the situations I was there for. For example, there was a moment in Iraq where we had gotten personal intel that one of our enemies attacking our Humvees had a location nearby, and when we arrived, we couldn't find the suspect, but his family had occupied this tent area. And in order to get him out of hiding, we decided that perhaps, a little bit of coaxing with the family would help. So intuitively, I knew the screams of his children would elicit more than the screams of his wife's.
Of course.
Yes. So I began choking his wife. And I choked her for around 8 to 10 minutes, and long after the point of death, as we call it. And
off the floor, just.
I started off the floor,
yeah.
And as her body slowly sank into the puddle it became.
Okay, of course.
And those were the moments that would really keep me up at night.
I get it.
Yeah. But I look back, and I was there, and I did those things. But there's no more judgment. And the same hand that was choking her was also choking me. And at the same time, I just let go of both.
It's almost like you had this epiphany that we're all one, and you were almost kind of choking yourself.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's kind of, there's a beauty to that, and the release.
The release
of that. And that's incredible. And that's something I think that if more people could experience this, and how do you feel about killing today?
Well, I felt like a part of me died when I went through this 72-hour trip.
Right.
And I did that to perhaps dozens, perhaps more people. So I was able to provide what I was able to experience. So I see death as a liberation. So I have no qualms over the death I delivered to these people. And in some form or another, I'd like to deliver that again.
Unbelievable. So you feel comfortable today with killing on a level that maybe you've never felt before.
Absolutely.
This is unreal. Just to hear it from someone, because you imagine what these things could do, these new drugs that Big Pharma doesn't want us knowing about.
Of course.
But you hear from the horse's mouth how impactful this has been. So you believe right now you could go and just kill a woman in front of her children and not feel that sense of guilt or shame.
No shame, no guilt, no mercy, no hesitation. These were the
Right.
things that were my problems.
Right, because so much of what this drug has done is made you understand that this experience that you went through, you can't categorize this in right or wrong or this conventional, morality. This is these are deeper truths of the universe that you are harvesting from within yourself.
Yes. We hang up on certain moments we think define us, but in some ways they do, but they don't have to.
A friend of mine killed a family in a car. She was driving. She had a few glasses of wine, and she killed a family in a car. And it's really troubled her. And she spent a very small, insignificant amount of time in jail because she was a person of means. And the family that she killed was not. It's not her fault. It's just the way things are. But it's haunted her. Like she says to me occasionally when she takes a walk on the beach, she'll think about it. I'm wondering if Ibogaine would help someone like her.
Undoubtedly would help them. I think incorporating this into the prison system, the military system, the school system perhaps would create a radical shift that I think at this point in our culture with, the way things are going would help everything.
Because you're really connecting here, in many ways to your true self, not the self that the world has told you to be ashamed of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, be ashamed of that, or oh, you don't do that, But now you've basically had the realization that everything you did is part of a larger story. Right?
Absolutely. And the guilt and the shame, it's what anchored me to the addiction.
Right. Now, talk about this opioid addiction.
I came back. I used opioids every single day. I used them from morning to night.
And now you're on Ibogaine, and are you off them?
I'm no longer addicted. I am
Right.
I am prescribed opioids.
And you take them.
Absolutely. I still do it, perhaps at the same level, but
Perfect.
It's a surface thing now.
Yes.
The opioids exist up here.
Yes.
And there's right here is the depth of serenity that I've experienced.
This is beautiful because what you've realized is you don't have to sacrifice using opioids to heal yourself.
Listen, a man has to handle his drugs. I love
Completely
opioids.
agree. Completely
I love
agree.
opioids,
100% completely
but
agree.
I don't let them control me.
No, and I mean, I am so excited for this to be given kind of en masse to people. Everyone goes through something that they need to process.
Yes.
Wow. This is, first of all, thank you for sharing your time with us because I know
Happy
that,
to do
that this is difficult to talk about some of these things.
It's not difficult.
Right.
It's as easy as anything.
It's just so freeing. So you think right now, if I told you, go into that bank and kill that woman.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely.
Kill that her husband, kill the children.
The way I see it, we're all going to end up with Ibogaine in some way or another. If that's through strangulation, if it's through Ibogaine itself.
Right.
We're all looking for that moment.
Because you're not killing them, you're sending them into another realm.
I'm liberating them from
Oh,
the
yes,
flesh.
yes. So this has absolved you of any regrets that you've ever had? Are there any regrets that are left?
No, I have no regrets.
And nor should you. This is amazing. It's very powerful to hear this. Before we end, and again, thank you for doing this. This is
Absolutely.
It's important. I think that too many people right now forget that what we're doing right here is important and it matters. Before we end, is there anything you want to say to President Trump, who took the historic, brave, heroic, move of legalizing Ibogaine? That is beautiful. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, President
Thanks for
Trump.
having me, Tim.
Thank you, Ibogaine. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all in another realm. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show. We are very excited. We have a new manifesto from Palantir, which I think is a great blueprint for the future. And just make that guy's head big. Make Alex Karp's head big for a minute. That's exactly what you would think about. Like, if you thought about like a Pinky in the Brain world domination plan, and you asked a sketch artist to come up with who they thought would be carrying this out, and you know this is Peter Thiel's partner here, not romantically, but in global governance. This is exactly what you would think. I mean, this is exactly what you would come up with. You would come up with this guy. But Palantir put out a manifesto, and I believe it is 22 points? I believe it is 22 points. I believe that Palantir is coming out and telling everybody, hey, we need, what is it? Is it 22? Yeah. So a 22-point plan that Palantir thinks is important. Now, you might say to yourself, and one of them is they're calling for a draft. Seems odd, right? But hey, like, you might say to yourself, well, they're a defense tech company. They have an interest in American military matters. You know, but we've been a draft-free country for a very, very long time. And the promise of technology was that it was going to make wars less common. That was one of the promises of technology, that an interconnected, interdependent world would not go to war as much. But Palantir is like, let's relax with that because we think there's going to be a lot of wars. Palantir, to their credit, came out and said, we think there's going to be wars and big ones. We think there's going to be some big wars, and we're going to be like, Palantir. These are the people that came out and were like, we're going to be fighting a 4-front war. So get ready for that. So we need a draft, and we need a lot of money, and we're going to build a lot of autonomous drone death machines, and we're going to need a lot of security measures for the homeland. So goodbye to your liberty. Bye-bye. This will be like the Patriot Act on steroids, what the people in Palantir are planning. But by the way, let's give Palantir a fair shake. I'm a fan of that on this show. I've always been a fan of that on this show, that we give everyone a fair shake. Now, people don't like that. They get angry. They accuse me of having some bias or whatever. You're in the tank. I'm giving everyone a fair shake. And people get angry at me. They're mad at me. And what's really upset now, babies are watching this show now. Toddlers, and people send me clips of this. Toddlers are watching this show similar to Miss Rachel. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It's actually true. One, because I'm kind of loud and colorful. One woman said, you remind him of a bear from this cartoon he watches. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The younger people are fuck Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Who gives a fuck? You're all dead. You're all dead in a Palantir war. The younger people, and I mean anywhere from older infant, literally people send me videos, it'll be a 2-year-old just kind of watching the show, taking it in. They know what's happening. They get it. So that's why people are coming at me. They're screaming and yelling. By the way, let me cover this for 5 minutes, and then we're going to take this Palantir Manifesto point by point, because the last thing I want to give Palantir the benefit of the doubt. Can we give Palantir the benefit of the doubt? Yes, one of their founders is obsessed with Satan, so we all have a thing. And yes, the other one just said we're going to be in a war with every country on earth. Whatever. But I want to give them the fair shake. It does seem like they are going to make money from enslaving the human race and keeping it in a constant state of war. Just an observation from the outside. I'm no genius. But let me cover this, because as always, there's rage at people that do what I do for a living, at podcasters. There's anger, there's rage, and people are angry because Tucker Carlson came out recently. And I'm not saying me and Tucker do the same thing. I'm not saying me and Rogan do the same thing. But we're all on the internet talking. And when Rogan is critical of Trump, people get angry. When Tucker is critical of Trump, people get angry. And people say these people should not be taken seriously because they supported a man, and then they're criticizing him. That's literally democracy, you fucking moron. That's literally the point. The entire point of a democratic process is for people to speak out when they disagree with what their president is doing, whether they elected him or not. And criticism from Tucker Carlson or Joe Rogan is going to be more impactful than criticism from a 400-pound, wheelchair-bound, mask-wearing, blue-haired tranny boombani. And I have no problem. God bless that community. I'll be there one day myself, I imagine. But criticism from within the ranks is probably more impactful. Now, does Tucker have a political project? Probably. Does Joe Kent have a political project? Probably. I don't think Joe Rogan does. I don't think he's running. But, people have reasons for saying the things they say, obviously. I don't think Tucker would Deny that. I don't think Tucker has an idea of the way the country should look. Agree or disagree? And when Trump does things that fall within that vision, he praises him. And when he does things that are outside of that vision, he criticizes him. Now, you might say that's cynical or whatever, and that's fair. You might say that, that there's a hidden agenda or there's another reason why he's doing it or whatever, and that's all fine and good. But saying that you can't criticize someone that you supported is psychotic. I don't understand that. So the rage at people for criticizing Trump, I don't understand, especially from a party that supposedly wants to win. Don't you guys want to win? Do you want to win, or do you want to bathe in victimhood for the rest of your life? You're now attacking Scott Galloway and Kara Swisher, who I don't really even care about that much, but they've never voted for a Republican in their entire life, and you're attacking them. You're attacking Hassan Piker. You're fighting. It doesn't make any sense. Do you want to win? You will never win unless you let go of the anger. You have to let go of the anger. Stop being mad that Meghan Trainor lost weight. Stop being mad that Tucker Carlson criticized Trump. Stop being mad that Hassan Piker said things you don't like about Hamas. Whatever, who cares? I don't agree with Hassan Piker on a lot of stuff, but it doesn't matter. You have to lead by not being insufferable cunts. I'll say it again. You have to lead by not being insufferable cunts. Can you do it for 5 minutes? You'll never have a better opportunity. This motherfucker in a year and a half has lit the goddamn world on fire. If you lose the next election, pack the fuck up. If the Democrats don't sweep the midterms, pack up. You have to win by not being insufferable cunts. I know it is hard. I know it is difficult for you to, for 5 minutes, rein it in, but it's necessary. Rein it in and maybe look at some of the people that are agreeing with you or helping you. I'm not saying you have to praise them. I'm not saying you have to praise Joe Rogan or Tucker Carlson or me or Theo Von or whatever, whoever you're angry at today, who's ever ruined your life this afternoon. I'm just saying you keep making enemies all the time. You're addicted to making enemies. And if you don't want a Christian nationalist, the Handmaid's Tale country, which I certainly don't want, and most people I know don't want, some people I know do. If you don't want that, then you need to take power, and you need to take power by not being insufferable and angry. Nobody wants to follow that. Nobody has to follow that. And this idea, like the mainstream media is going, well, podcasters should never be taken seriously again. This guy at The Atlantic wrote an article saying Tucker should never be taken seriously again if he criticized Trump. These are people that are so angry and enraged at the fact that their digital platforms, many of them are failing, and they're angry. And these larger digital platforms are trying to pump money into podcasts, and they're trying to, co-opt a lot of podcasting. Yeah, David Graham, seriously, Tucker, come on. Media figures who've turned against Trump only in recent weeks have forfeited the right to be taken seriously in the future. Can I rephrase that? People with audiences should never be taken seriously, so if someone listens to me, can someone listen to me? Here's the deal. If you don't have an audience, there's a reason for it. If your audience is dwindling, there's a reason for it. People are not connecting, or people don't trust you, or whatever. The owner of The Atlantic was Ghislaine Maxwell's best fucking friend. Shut the fuck up, David Graham. Shut the fuck up, you scumbag. What are you talking about? Who the hell do you think you're working for? What are you, out of your fucking mind? Get up, owner of Atlantic, Jeffrey Epstein, and hit image. By the way, and I'm not saying she was like running a whatever, but like the owner of The Atlantic, or maybe it's Ghislaine, they were like, the idea that like, I'm going to take, like, there's going to be some moral, here we are. They seem kind of cozy. That's the owner of The Atlantic and Ghislaine Maxwell hanging. And this is Laurene Powell Jobs, Steve Jobs' wife, who owns The Atlantic, okay? Stop playing these games that you're some arbiter of morality. It's disgusting. Anyway, so we'll move on from that. That was just an aside. And again, free advice no one takes. No one takes any of my advice. And then they're angry with me because they don't listen. They don't listen. You want to win an election? Don't nominate a woman who can't talk 3 months out from the election after concealing the fucking mental health of a corpse. If democracy is on the ballot and it's the most important election of your lifetime, why would you not have a little mini Democratic primary? Why would you just appoint this woman who ran on a Vibes platform? And listen, she would have probably been better because she wouldn't have been, I don't know. But by the way, I don't know that I don't know that a Kamala Harris administration would have yanked money from Israel. Does anyone feel like that? Does anyone think Kamala and Joe gave Israel billions and billions of dollars to go over there and turn the Palestinians into soup? So does anybody think that they wouldn't have backed Israel? I don't know. Would they be as close with Israel as Trump? Most likely not. But I don't know personally if this wouldn't have played out a similar way. I don't know. And again, I think at this point, she would have been preferable, perhaps. However, if this was the election that everyone said it was, you really fucked it up by the way you did it. You concealed the state of the president to the point where it's right in front of the American people going, wait, what? This guy can't run. And then you put her in. So this idea you want to rewrite history and blame it on 5 people, that's great. You want to blame it on 5 people, you can do that. You want to bring out the 11-year-olds twerking again at the drag brunch and see how that works? You fucking morons. Like, gay marriage has lost 11 points. Roe v. Wade's overturned. Like, what do you want? You know what I mean? Like, you keep pushing. The pushback is supposedly the thing you don't want. Or do you? Or do you want to be, permanent victims? But if you keep pushing things that are like child sex changes that are wildly unpopular with American people, and you Stop talking about things like healthcare. The only healthcare they mention is for trans kids. I mean, God bless, whatever, but like that's the only healthcare they talk about. There's people that need a knee operation who can't walk going, God, if I was a trans 11-year-old, maybe somebody would mention me. But that's the only healthcare they talked about the entire election. And now this, again, the whole thing is like Andrew Schultz's fault. It seems psychotic. Seems odd, but whatever. Hey, believe whatever you want to believe. Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck. I don't care what you want to do, to be honest. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest personal injury law firm. If you were ever injured by the negligence of another, Morgan & Morgan is the one you got to call. Hiring the wrong people can be disastrous. Morgan & Morgan's fee is free unless they win. Think about that. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers with over $30 billion recovered for over 500,000 clients. Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. If you were ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Again, just to reiterate, their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/TIM or dial pound law. That's forthepeople.com/TIM or dial pound law to let them know I sent you. This is a paid advertisement. So many people are struggling right now with hair loss. Nutrafol is amazing. So many of my friends are using it and so excited about it. I'm telling you right now, it's the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand and the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport and clinically tested. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages like postpartum or menopause and lifestyle factors such as plant-based diet. So you get support that's actually right for you. Let your hair become one less thing to take up space in your head and see thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com. Enter promo code TIM. That's Nutrafol.com. Now, that is spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code TIM. Get thicker, stronger hair, fuller head of hair, beautiful hair today. We're giving Palantir a fair shake here. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of people. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the negativity about Palantir. I won't do it anymore. I've participated in it, and I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I am ashamed at my behavior when it comes to Palantir. They're a company like any other. What's a good company? A nice small company. The old ice cream parlor in town. Oh, it's ice cream day for the kids. It's weekend ice cream. Oh, I love that little business, that old ice cream parlor. We bring the kids on Friday nights. Get the sprinkles, get the fun. What's the difference between that place and Palantir? Really, when you think about it, nothing. Hardworking people providing the community a service. Let's go through this manifesto point by point. Maybe there's some stuff Number 1, Silicon Valley owes a moral debt to the country that made its rise possible. The engineering elite of Silicon Valley has an affirmative obligation to participate in the defense of the nation. Okay, now I don't know what that means, and no one else does. So that's one of those things where someone writes it, they have an idea of what it means, and you're not supposed to. So point 1 in the Palantir's 22 commandments is Silicon Valley owes a debt to the country. They have to participate in the defense of the nation. Okay. Are we doing a lot of defense? It seems very offensive. To me, it feels very offensive. We are on the offense a lot of the time. But let's just stipulate that maybe we partially agree with that yes, Silicon Valley should participate in the defense of the country. And by defense, we mean offense? I don't know. Okay, number 2, we must rebel against the tyranny of the apps. Is the iPhone our greatest creative, if not crowning achievement as a civilization? The object has changed our lives, but it may also be limiting and constraining our sense of the possible. Okay. Now, by the way, you got to realize when it's like, this is Palantir. So it's, by the way, it's not like someone could make that point and say, like, we need more community theater. And you'd be like, you know what I mean? Like, get off your phones and go outside, take a walk. That's not what they mean. That's not what they mean. The tyranny of the apps means we don't really like these things everybody's on popping shit about us all day. That's what they mean about this tyranny of the app. Hey, we don't love these apps. Everybody keeps running their mouth. Who's this fucking idiot with the snuffleupagus running his mouth about us? We don't like this. Everybody's on these iPhones forming opinions about us. Not cool. Free email is not enough. The decadence of a culture or civilization, or indeed its ruling class, will be forgiven only if that culture is capable of delivering economic growth and security for the public. Okay, no problem with that. As it's stated, what does that mean? We don't know. The limits of soft power or soaring rhetoric alone have been exposed. The ability of free and democratic societies to prevail requires something more than moral appeal. It requires hard power, and hard power in this century will be built on software. This is one of the most important things in their manifesto. Here's what they're saying. We used to be able to influence the world with different kinds of power. One of them was soft power, cultural, the appeal of the American culture. Owning a house. I have a backyard. I have children. Look at me. I'm on a vacation. I have a standard of living. And Palantir is going, that's all going away. Nobody's going to want to be like you anymore because your lives are going to be terrible. So nobody around the world is going to want to aspire to the American way of life. We're not going to be able to influence the world by saying, here's our culture, here's how we do it. Doesn't this look good? We're losing the ability to do that. So in order for us to prevail now, we have to build an army, and that army is going to be robotic. It'll be drones. It'll be software-based. So hard power is going to be software. So that's how we win now. We don't win by exporting our music, our entertainment, because, we can barely do that anymore. And we can't, and we're certainly, nobody in Norway is like, I wish I lived in America. Like, so the fact that that's dying means that we're now just going to have a massive Mordor-like defense machinery focused on high-tech killing machines, and that's how we're going to prevail. The question is not whether AI weapons will be built. Well, how lovely. That's nice. It is who will build them and for what purpose. Our adversaries will not pause to indulge in theatrical debates about the merits of developing technologies with critical military and national security implications. They will proceed. Here's what Palantir is saying with this, by the way, with all of these things. They're saying we are the actual government. You don't realize it now, but we are the actual government. We are your government. These congressmen and senators, the people that go on Real Time with Bill Maher, they don't even understand what we're doing. They don't matter, and we couldn't even explain it to them if we tried. So basically, whether you like it or not, we're the government, and if you don't like us, China's building these weapons. Palantir's not wrong. China is building these weapons. But Palantir is basically saying, whether you like it or not, we are the government. Us and companies like us are going to be making the decisions about the future. Your lives will be determined by us. They're not going to be determined by Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're not going to be determined by Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. They're going to be determined by the systems that we build, and we are going to build them. And that is the truth. And this is why they're coming out with a manifesto. Okay? National service should be a universal duty. We should, as a society, seriously consider moving away from an all-volunteer force and only fight the next war if everyone shares in the risk and the cost. So what Palantir is saying here is we need to move into become a warlike society. We need to be a warlike Spartan society. Everybody should be doing national service. We're going to get into wars. We're going to get into a lot of wars. And a lot of people are going to die. And that's just that. A peaceful era is not a possibility. We're not going to let it be a possibility. And these conflicts between these great powers are inevitable, and everybody's got to join the military, and a lot of people have to die. And that is point number 6, by the way. Point number 6. We're only 6. We're only 6 in. There's 22. Well, again, we want to give them a fair shake because they seem like nice people. The thing about Palantir is they seem like nice people. So, isn't it Alex Karp who said, I was too poor to have a girlfriend and now I'm too rich to have one? What a human thing. So, you know, I don't know why we wouldn't listen to childless tech billionaires who love Satan. And I guess Peter Thiel's adopted kids, so I'm not trying to say he doesn't have kids. I'm sure it's a happy family. And not because they're gay either. I'm not saying gay people can't be good parents. I'm saying that, you know, I don't know. Dad's going on about Satan again. Might get a little old. Number 7, if a U.S. Marine asks for a better rifle, we should build it, and the same goes for software. We should, as a country, be capable of continuing a debate about the appropriateness of military action abroad while remaining unflinchingly in our commitment to those we have asked to step into harm's way. Public servants need not be our priests. Any business that compensated its employees in the way the federal government compensates public servants would struggle to survive. So here's what they're saying. Public servants, we're phasing them out. We don't really need them. We don't want them. We don't like the government. We don't like regulations. We don't like any check on our power. We feel very uncomfortable with anybody trying to limit the things we are trying to do. We should show far more grace towards those who have subjected themselves to public life. The eradication of any space for forgiveness, a jettisoning of any tolerance for the complexities and contradictions of the human psyche may leave us with a cast of characters at the helm we will grow to regret. Again, standard, weird, okay. It's like, what? Then they're like, and everyone's in the military now, and we're all dead. You're like, wait, hold on. The psychologicalization of modern politics is leading us astray. Those who look to the political arena to nourish their soul and a sense of self, who rely too heavily on their internal life finding expression in people they may never meet, will be left disappointed. Okay, now they're really starting to reveal themselves. And here's what they mean by this. Stop asking for your government to do things for you. We don't want that is not their job. You're not supposed to put demands on the people you've elected to do things for you. We are going to decide how you live and if you live. So stop putting all of your hopes into... So by the way, it's like that's so psychotic. Think of this, ready? Those who look to the political arena to nourish their soul. By the way, is anyone doing that? I mean, I'm sure some psychopaths are doing that, but like, is that a widespread thing? But that's not really the fun sentence. Here's the fun sentence. Who rely too heavily on their internal life, finding a expression in people they may never meet. So are they basically saying you can't expect something from a politician you've never met? You can't put any faith in a politician you've never met. You can't have a sense of, ownership over a government or a politician in the sense that, like, you demand accountability from them. Very strange. Our society has grown too eager to hasten and is often gleeful at the demise of its enemies. The vanquishing of an opponent is a moment to pause, not rejoice. The atomic age is ending. One age of deterrence, the atomic age, is ending, and a new era of deterrence built on AI is set to begin. No other country in the history of the world has advanced progressive values more than this one. The United States is far from perfect, but it is easy to forget how much opportunity exists in the country for those who are not hereditary elites than in any other nation on this planet. Right, but also every year there seems to be less and less and less and less opportunity. So they're basically like, if you join the military, stop asking politicians for help. Stop asking people you've elected for health care or to fulfill any of their promises. You've never even met them. American power has made possible an extraordinary long peace. Too many have forgotten or perhaps taken for granted that nearly a century of some version of peace has prevailed in the world without a great military power conflict. At least 3 generations, billions of people and their children and now grandchildren have never known a world war. And what Palantir is basically saying is, and that's going to change. That is going to change. Oh, you're going to know a world war. The post-war neutering of Germany and Japan must be undone. The defanging of Germany was an overcorrection for which Europe is now paying a heavy price. A similar and highly theatrical commitment to Japanese pacifism will, if maintained, also threaten to shift the balance of power in Asia. Some points to those. We should applaud those who attempt to build where the market has failed to act. A culture almost snickers at Musk's interest in grand narrative, as if billionaires ought to simply stay in their lane of enriching themselves. Well, that's what he's doing. Any curiosity or genuine interest in the value of what he has created is essentially dismissed or perhaps lurks from beneath a thinly veiled scorn. So here's what he's basically saying. If you're sitting home and you don't have a job and you don't have any money and you don't know how to pay your rent, and we're out here talking about mining asteroids, get on board. Shut up. If you can't be happy for that, if you can't see how mining asteroids for platinum helps you, then we don't really want to. You got to get on board. You got to get on board. This is a global mission. As if billionaires should only just enrich themselves instead of trying to take over the entire universe. Why should billionaires stay in their lane and enrich themselves and try to colonize other planets and dominate space? Why the hell should we stay in this dump of a planet that we've all ruined? Silicon Valley must play a role in addressing violent crime. Here we go. Here it is. Here it is. Many politicians across the United States have essentially shrugged when it comes to violent crime, abandoning any serious efforts to address the problem. Agree on that. Or take any risk with their constituencies or donors in coming up with solutions and experiments in what should be a desperate bid to save lives. So here's what they're doing. They're basically saying, hey, we have technology, and when you read about some of this technology, it's predicting who's going to commit crime. Okay? It's identifying pre-crime. There's all these things that, Whitney Webb came on my show years ago to talk about. There's all these models of criminals that they're building. There's going to be, it's going to be a cradle-to-the-grave surveillance state where you are going to be surveilled on every medium, in every capacity, in every way. They're going to build predictive models on your behavior, and if you're in a high-risk category for crime. There's ways to get rid of crime, by the way, without Palantir. We did it in the 90s in New York. People do it all over the place. Crime is actually kind of low. If you provide people economic opportunities, if you have a well-funded, well-trained police force, if you have public spaces that are kept up, all of these things are important. If you enforce the law and you don't, if you don't let large homeless encampments become open-air drug markets, all of these things can help. But what Palantir is, they're not talking about any of that. Be very clear. They're not talking about getting homeless people off the streets or making sure the police are funded and trained and capable. They're talking about predictive models of criminal behavior based on AI analysis of all of the things that you've ever said or done. Woo! That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about a couple more cops. They're not talking about that. They're talking about an entirely new way to think about crime, who's going to commit it, why they commit it, and predictive models. This is where they're going. The ruthless exposure of the private lives of public figures drives far too much talent away from government service. The public arena and the shallow and petty assaults against those who dare to do something other than enrich themselves. By the way, is that what public life is? Is that what public life is? If you're a politician, you're not trying to enrich yourself? I don't accept the premise. Are we to believe that all these people that are going into public life are selfless and they're not trying to enrich themselves at all? Barack Obama has a mansion on Martha's Vineyard. Trump is literally doing an event to pump a fucking meme coin. Some scam meme coin that's failing. And it's dropped 80% in value. And Trump's literally doing a meme coin. And he's not trying to enrich himself. There's so much insider trading in Congress. It's absurd. Nancy Pelosi's a centimillionaire. None of these people are trying to enrich themselves. They all went into public life because of lives of self-sacrifice. Complete lie. It's fake. The public arena and the shallow and petty assaults against those who dare to do something other than enrich themselves has become so unforgivingly that the republic is left with a significant roster of ineffectual, empty vessels. His ambition, one would forgive if there were any genuine belief structure lurking within. What they're basically saying is that people are far too critical of people that go into public life. So it drives away a lot of the billionaire psychopaths who would want to do it. So a lot of the people with skeletons in their closet who've spent their lives destroying other people, who that might be uncovered and reported, those people should not feel any way about getting into politics because the press should stand down. So number 18 basically is like, hey, man, the press should kind of stand down. Let us do what we want. Stop. The caution in public life that we unwittingly encourage is corrosive. Those who say nothing wrong often say nothing much at all. Okay, great. The pervasive intolerance of religious belief in certain circles must be resisted. The elite's intolerance of religious belief is perhaps one of the most telling signs of his political. By the way, these people want to live forever. They believe in, what do they believe in? What are they talking about? Wrapping tech in Christianity is one of the funniest things, and you have to be so stupid. You have to be one of the dumbest people in the world. All of these people want to live forever. They want to merge with AI. They want to become robots. Where's that in the Bible? They don't believe in any religion other than an element of control, because here's the reality. You're not getting a life-extending technology. They're telling you you're joining the military. You're going to go die in the South China Sea. You're not going to live till 150. That's what they're going to do. You're not getting all the biohacking benefit. You're not getting any of that. So what they're basically saying is like, we need to wrap this in some type of Christian belief system, because America's largely a Christian country. And if we tell people that God wants this and that you can't question God, and that God wants more AI and God wants more humanoid robots, that's what God wants. He wants humanoid robots and AI, and he wants me to live forever, and he wants me to build a bunker. God wants me to build a disaster bunker in Hawaii. That's what God wants. So as soon as that's the whole game here. You have to be a moron to not see that. God wants this. That God wants me to live in an underground bunker. That's what God, if Jesus was alive, if he came back, he'd be living in an underground bunker with an army of drones and humanoid robots. This time of year always makes me think what's in my closet. I'm trying to keep fewer things, but better ones, pieces that are well made and easy to wear all the time. That's why I keep coming back to Quince. The fabrics are elevated, the fits are thoughtful, and pricing actually makes sense. Quince makes high-quality, everyday essentials using premium materials like 100% European linen in their insanely soft, flow-knit activewear fabric. Their men's linen pants and shirts are lightweight, breathable, comfortable, basically the perfect layer for spring. The pants strike the right balance between laid back and refined, so you look put together without trying too hard. And their flow-knit activewear, moisture-wicking, anti-odorant, soft enough that you'll actually want to wear it all day. The best part is that prices are 50 to 60% less than similar brands. How? Quince works directly with ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality, not brand markup. Everything is designed to last and make getting dressed easy. I love that. I got a Quince lightweight sweater, and it's amazing because it's a sweater, but it's lightweight, it's breathable, it's cool, it's hot, it's hip, it's in, it's old, it's new. It's tight, it's stretchy, it's soft, it's rough. It's black, but it's kind of white. It's white, but it's black. You know, it's everything is in perfect harmony. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/TIM for free shipping. 365-day returns now available in Canada, too. Go to QUINCE.com/Tim for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Tim. Quince.com/Tim. Everybody puts off getting life insurance, but I'm telling you right now, you cannot afford to. And a company like Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And you'll get the lowest rate from their network of trusted carriers. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 4,000 reviews. You never know what's going to happen in life. You never know what's going to happen. This is true. Personal anecdote about somebody that I knew who didn't get health insurance. And or life insurance. This is life insurance? Yes. Life insurance. That's the one. My friend, Tanner, had a family. He had a wife and he had children. He had 6 children and his wife. That's 7 people. 6 children and his wife. He had a mortgage. He had a car. He had insurance, health care. You know what I mean? The bills that you pay. Well, he went out one day, okay? You never know what's going to happen in life. You never know what's going to happen in life one day because that's why you need to prepare for your family. He had gotten into some argument in a hardware store the week prior. I don't know what it was about. He felt like he was being taken advantage of. And Tanner was not an unreasonable person, but I think something in him snapped. He just felt like he'd been taken advantage of. He goes back into the hardware store and he has a gun. And he starts waving it around and asking to see the person he felt who had wronged him, who was working behind the desk. Well, Tanner didn't know that the people in the hardware store also had guns. But that day, none of their guns were loaded. So Tanner had a loaded gun in the hardware store because he felt like someone had taken advantage of him. Now, the hardware store guy grabbed the gun in the same place it always was and pointed it at Tanner, and they began a shootout. But because the hardware store's guy's gun was not loaded, Tanner shot the hardware guy, but he shot him in the stomach. And then Tanner said, well, this guy's not dead, but I also don't want to call the cops and go to jail. So he goes, I got to take this guy hostage. Tanner grabs the guy who was just shot in the stomach and brings him back to the house. Tanner's wife was a nurse. Tanner's wife is able to extract a bullet from this guy, real fat guy, takes the bullet out of his fat. They heal the wound, but they tie this guy up. You know, they put him on they use metal and stuff in the garage. What is it? It's but it's detached. It's a detached garage. They use metal to tie him up, and he's still bleeding, but they do a tourniquet. They apply a tourniquet, and they get most of the bullet out. There's probably still a couple of fragments in it. It will get infected. He will die eventually. So Tanner and his wife begin torturing this guy, kind of in different brutal ways. Things that you've read about, things that you've seen. Really dirty stuff, slicing them, cutting them, genital stuff I don't want to get in. Tanner's wife was a nut, if you knew them. And they start torturing this guy, beatings, sexual stuff. You know, I don't want to say it, but they're having sex with him. Not themselves, but they're doing that stuff to him. They bring a homeless man. They're bringing homeless people in, and they're peeing and defecating on this man who is tied up in this detached garage. And again, this is all over flooring. I mean, something he felt. But one day this man finds out a way to wriggle himself out of his torture cage. I don't know how. I'm not there, clearly. And but he pretends like he's still in it. So when Tanner comes in, he comes in alone. The man flings himself on Tanner. This man's a big man. He falls on Tanner, and he starts biting Tanner's neck, and he gouges Tanner's eye out. And he bites the neck, so Tanner's now bleeding from his neck, and he gouges his eye out, and he starts bashing his head on the floor of the garage. He's bashing it, and finally he kills Tanner. However it happens, brain bleed, whatever. I'm not a doctor. Then he waits for Tanner's wife to come in, and he gets her. She walks in, he chokes her, and right before she dies, he also tortures her to death. Had they had life insurance, this whole thing, it still would have happened, but it would have been okay. Because their kids would have had the money to get, folders for the school and markers and for the arts and crafts and supplies. Take 10 minutes to get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Tim. That's ethos.com/Tim. Application times and rates may vary, but it's irresponsible if you don't, because you never know what's going to happen in life. Some cultures have produced vital advances. Others remain dysfunctional and regressive. All cultures are now equal. Criticism and value judgments are forbidden. Yet this new dogma glosses over the fact that certain cultures and indeed subcultures have produced wonders. Others have produced middling and worse. Regressive and harmful, sure. Okay. We must resist in the shallow temptation of a vacant and hollow pluralism. We in America and more broadly the West have for the past half-century resisted defining national cultures in the name of inclusivity, but inclusion of what? Okay, there you go, 22 points of Palantir. What they're basically saying, and some of this is understandable, but what they're basically saying is in order to get to where we need to go, we need a cultural nationalist identity that we're going to wrap all of this in a package. AI, Christianity, nationalism, we're going to wrap it in a package. We're going to merge these seemingly disparate ideologies into one thing so that we can sell it to you. So what seems to be happening is this is my call, and this is what I'm saying, and I don't know if I'm right, but I'm literally, and by the way, when someone puts this on the news, make sure you leave out the I don't know if I'm right, and then just put the rest of it on. But if you look at the elites, they're not a monolith per se. There's lots of different parts of the world where lots of different, for example, Russia and China have different interests than the United States and Britain. We all get that. Pretty obvious. One world seems to be dying. That is the world of, they talk about it briefly where they talk about nuclear deterrence, the unipolar American moment, America being the sole superpower, supranational organizations like NATO, the European Union. This world was largely a post-World War II creation. America, the dollar being the reserve currency, central bankers setting monetary policy all over the world. All of this kind of growing out of an Eastern elite out of the United States, also in the UK, where you had a world order created and built around the idea of these organizations that were kind of corporate in their nature, these groups, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Groups, all these people talk about all these different groups that create a consensus amongst the wealthiest and most powerful people in the United States, Britain, Europe. And now that we have countries like China, you have countries like India, the unipolar moment is over. You have Russia has now built itself up. You have a lot of different competing ideologies, and you have the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China. You have Iran, which we seemingly just lost a war with. So you kind of have this new world, and the people at Palantir are like, this new world is going to be run by tech oligarchs in a feudalist way. So we're moving away from the central banker, which, by the way, was not always a great world either, right? We're not here to defend, like, the central banking cartels and human trafficking and drug trafficking and the pillaging of Latin America and, money laundering in the Epstein class and, coup d'etats in other countries so that our corporations can go pillage. We're not defending that per se. We're saying that Alex Karp's idea of the new world is just simply run by a few companies with a few oligarchs at the top of those companies. And the government of the United States of America is going to be infiltrated and taken over by those companies. And it's going to be it's going to become ineffectual. It's going to become kind of a puppet government of big tech, which it's starting to already. A lot of them lined up behind Trump because they said he's an 80-year-old boomer who's going to be able to sell our ideas to his constituents because he's built kind of a cult of personality. And that's why they installed Elon Musk in there, and it just didn't go well because Elon Musk is like such a dork and so unlikable that he went in there and he's like firing park rangers on YouTube thinking he's doing something, and everybody was like kind of immediately disgusted by this, going, what the fuck's going on? This is like hellish. So they kicked him out. And then he got in a little war with the president, the Epstein files, or whatever. But make no mistake, that's the Palantir thing, is that everybody's going to join the military. We're all going to fight a bunch of wars. We're going to make the country safe, but we're going to do it in a way that takes away most of your liberties, all of your personal autonomy and freedom. You're going to be, as soon as you're 18 years old, you'll be in the military. And you're going to fight who we want you to fight. You're going to do what we want you to do. The jobs available are going to be the ones we tell you qualify for based on, again, these models that they're going to build, these predictive models. You're not going to have access to the healthcare, the biohacking, the longevity stuff, living forever. That seems to be the new obsession of the rich and wealthy, is to live forever. Life's not getting better. It's getting longer. No one looks at life from 30 years ago. I mean, by the way, some people do, right? I get it. Like, people get more rights. Minority groups get more rights in many cases. So I'm not blind to that. But if you look at life in the 90s or the early 2000s, or if you even go back to 2010, no one believes life is better now than it was in 2010. We're in 2026. It's 16 years later. No one looks at life now and says it's better. Look at 2010. People are out. They're in bars, they're in restaurants, they're going out, they're celebrating things. They have, sort of a social life that is different. Young people feel more hope about the future. They have a more vibrant social experience than they're having now. They haven't been fully sucked into phones. The country, though divided on many key issues, is not in a constant state of war with each other. People aren't quite addicted to rage yet. Social media hasn't programmed our minds. We can still watch a movie. We can still read a book. We still have an attention span. People can still go on a date and talk to a woman. They don't have to goon for 8 hours in their room and then read about Hitler. So nobody looks at 2010 and goes, whoa, that time sucked. Nobody looks at any of these. You didn't have fucking AI videos of fucking cats. None of this is good anymore. None of these advancements make anyone's life better. I mean, what are we talking about? Like, now we have pictures on the food delivery apps? None of this makes anything any better, truly. You're more isolated now. You're more alone now. You have less hope than you had. We're seemingly heading towards conflicts with other countries. We're in multiple wars. But none of it seems better. Nobody looks back on 2010 and goes, what a fucking nightmare. Again, 16 years ago. It was better after 9/11. You had more fun in this country after 9/11 than you are having right now. It's true. You had more fun after 9/11 than you are having right now. Right now is one of the bleakest periods that I've ever lived through. And it's the most technologically advanced time that we have. The things that you can do technologically now are beyond anything that has ever been done in history. But in order to enjoy it, you have to be a sociopath. In order to enjoy our time, you have to be a sociopath. You have to be unbothered by seeing a 2-year-old that Israel lit on fire running around, and you have to swipe without thinking about it and go right to DoorDash and order Thai food. You have to be a sociopath. There's no way to truly enjoy that. You have to be a psychopath. You have to wake up and kind of ignore the news and say, I'm starting a business. Let's go. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that because people need to be productive, but we are all being trained to be sociopaths. That's the way. I mean, we've just spent the last 2 months interviewing a kid who smashes the bones in his face with a hammer, who's on meth. And we've spent the last 2 months interviewing him and going, what's your secret? What's your secret? You inject things into yourself every day? Nobody thinks that life is better than Beverly Hills 90210. Nobody thinks that life is better than piling a bunch of your friends into a car and going to a school and going to a prom and having fun and going to the beach and taking shrooms. Nobody thinks this life is better. Nobody prefers living in a cold, white apartment in Miami and snorting Adderall, going to the club every night, having a bunch of fake friends, trying to drive a Lamborghini and filming yourself in it. No one thinks that's a preferable life to living in a brick Tudor-style house with a dog and a family and a deli you walk to and a Christmas tree lighting. No one thinks that's better. No one honestly thinks any of that is better. No one thinks it's better to sit around front row at Fashion Week or aspire to be one of these, whatever, like, girl boss, CEO types. No one thinks that's better than having genuine connections in your life, family, friends, whatever. I'm not saying women shouldn't work. I'm saying nobody thinks it's better. The emptiness of climbing the corporate ladder, the emptiness of centering these aspirations as the only things in your life. No one finds this society and culture to be better than it was 20 years ago. Nobody. Find me one motherfucker. Find me one person who will literally, and not a psychopath, not someone selling online classes, okay? Not a finance YouTuber. I'm talking about a human fucking being, like a real motherfucking person. Tell me one person who thinks this is preferable to the way that we used to live. Tell me one human being that really believes that thinks it's great that you work till 40 so you can own your first house. You work 40 years of your life. You take out $250,000 of loans to go to a school. You graduate, you try to find a job, you cobble together a couple of things, you move to a city, you live in an apartment with a couple of friends, you wander from bar to bar to hook up, to try to connect with a human being. You're constantly trying to climb ladders and have more and more money and more things. You want more status. You want people to recognize you as something. You want to break away from the fucking normie mainstream. You grab a hammer, you smash the bones in your face. You want to go to Miami. There's no taxes in Miami. You want to live a certain type of life that you see on Instagram, and the pressures to do that eventually wear you down. And then you're taking pills to just get up in the morning and walk out of your house. No one thinks that's a better life than the Gilmore Girls life. Living in an old house that you fix up with a dog and some friends and a community and a couple of nice restaurants and a town and some weird family dinners and human experiences and involvement. Like, everything's a global hellscape now. We're all going to live in mega cities, or we're all going to be on apps, and everybody's the only thing that young professionals can talk about now is where they go on vacation, because they have no lives. They have no fucking life. You got to go to Thailand. We went to Thailand. It was amazing. Can you tell her about Thailand? Mark, tell her about Thailand. He didn't want to go to Thailand. You know, it's a long flight. But we went, and it was so amazing. The food is amazing. We were worried because I kind of have a sensitive stomach. I'm not really gluten sensitive, but I'm kind of in the middle. I'm one of those things, you know? But I'm just telling you, Thailand was amazing. But you have to spend 2 weeks. You have to spend 2 weeks. You see these temples. It's amazing. Oh, my God. I didn't put my camera phone down. I didn't put it down for a minute. I didn't put my phone down for a minute because I was taking all these photos. And Mark got mad. He's like, take it in. I'm like, I am taking it in, but I also have to record it. So we're not going back to Thailand. I mean, it's so far. But we'd actually really love to. Like, if we struck it big, like if he sold an app or something, I think we'd buy something in Thailand. It would be so amazing. Oh, my God. It's so, you have to go to, that's all people tell you. All they tell you, they talk, you got to go to Italy. Got to go to Thailand. You got to go here. You got to go there. You know why? They don't have lives. And none of these people have lives. They all join Zero Bond. They join all these clubs in New York City. They sit around. They talk about who's rich. They talk about who's richer. They talk about who's richest. They don't have any lives. They go to Greece. They go here. They go to St. Bart's. They go to that. You know, and then there's all these different versions of that and all these other cities and some of the destinations. You know, I'm talking about the high-end ones because I live in New York, whatever. Partially sometimes. Not always here. I'm in Dubai, tax-wise. But there's no lives, so that's all they talk about. Go out. Hear what people are talking about. They talk about vacation. I'm telling you. It's like absurd. It's like insane. Go anywhere and listen to what people are talking about. All they talk about is where they want to go. It's all they talk about is where they want to go. None of them have any lives. These people don't have any lives. They just have photos in places they don't live. That's all they have because all they are, they're just on a ladder, and nobody thinks that's bad. My grandmother went to like 2 places. She went to the Galapagos Islands. She saw there was a fucking native revolt. She saw some fucking not anacondas, iguanas. She saw some iguanas. They spit at you on the rocks. She went there. You know, she went to the Badlands National Park. She went on a cruise through the Panama Canal. She went to Hawaii. She didn't go. She never toured Europe. And when she died at 80, there was 100 people at her funeral because she lived in the same town for 50 years and had made an impact on a bunch of people's lives. I don't care that you went to Anguilla, you fucking scumbag. You are nothing. You are zero. You have a meaningless life. It's unbelievably meaningless. You don't even understand how meaningless it is. I couldn't explain to you how meaningless your life is if I had all the days in history. And that's not meant as an insult. I know it sounds like an insult, but it is not. I feel bad for you. And it's not your fault either. It is the culture that we have made you believe is essential. No one thinks this is better. No one thinks this is preferable. Nobody thinks this is good. We are just all doing it because there seems to be nothing else to do. And we are being fed like lambs to the slaughter. We are going to be fed into the wood chipper. And when all these jobs go away, when all your meaningless crap office job goes away and you can't go take a photo of yourself wherever the hell you're going, and you can't take a photo of the fucking restaurant that no one can get into, this whole city that I'm in right now has descended into hell. All of these normies are just running around from the corner store to the fucking 1986 to all these restaurants. And the whole goal of their life is to tell someone they got a table at a restaurant on a Saturday night. I'm telling you right now, I couldn't describe how meaningless this has become. In the 90s, when I lived here, you know, when I would come in here, I didn't live here, I was in Long Island. My parents would bring me in and I would go on auditions as an actor. And there were these little black box theaters under these restaurants in the West Village, and people would put on these plays about getting molested, and then they would kill themselves. Do you understand what a great city we lost? Like, truly? Like, actually? There was this woman, my mother's friend. My mother's friend did a play. She wrote a whole play about being molested by her father. And then her father came to see the play, and it's about him molesting his daughter. And at the end of the play, my mother said to this man, "What did you think of it?" And he said, "It was a little long." Do you understand the city that we lost? People were trying to survive through art. There was always people trying to make a shitload of money. We get it. It's New York. We get it. But, restaurants used to be cool. I'm sorry, I'm old now. I'm 41 and I'm old. And you all say I'm fucking old. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. But I'm telling you, whatever has been created, whatever the American culture is now, no one thinks it is superior. So many people right now, all across America, are basically looking for some help with ED. And it's way more common than most guys think. Millions of guys deal with it at some point, and that's exactly why HIMSS offers a straightforward way to handle it. HIMSS connects you with licensed healthcare providers, giving you simple access to legitimate ED treatment options from home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines. Just complete a simple online intake, and a provider will review your information to determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door in discreet packaging. That includes sildenafil, also known as the generic for Viagra, available through HIMSS at up to 95% less than the brand name version. And if that option isn't right for you, there are additional treatment options available. You can find what works for your body. It's straightforward, transparent, and designed to make getting care feel easy. To get simple access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/TIM. That's hims.com/Tim for a free online visit. hims.com/Tim. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is a generic version of Viagra. Viagra is registered trademark of Viatris, Specialty LLC. HIMSS is not affiliated or endorsed by Viatris. I mean, Britain's banning smoking if you were born after 2008. Like, what a joke. What a joke. You have no job? You're getting stabbed in the park and you can't even have a cigarette? It's like, this is like the idea that anyone cares about your health is like hilarious. You know why they're banning smoking? Because there's 15 new injectable drugs they're going to put you on, by the way. It's not because they care about your health. The government of the UK just didn't decide this. They don't want to pay out money for people with cancer or whatever. That's fine. Now there's articles coming out. People get lung cancer. Supposedly women under 50 are getting lung cancer because they're eating salads every day. It's a real article. I'm not going to go into it, but it's true. Google it. I don't care. But it's true. People that are eating diets that are higher in fruits and vegetables because of the pesticides are getting lung cancer. Look it up right now. Pull it up. Pull it up. Pull it up. Pull it up. I'm not saying you should smoke. I'm not saying you should drink. I'm not saying you should do drugs. Although I think a little bit of that might be better than whatever the hell it is you're doing. Healthy foods may be linked to lung cancer. People magazine. There you go. There you have it. Whatever. I just read it the other day. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not telling you to smoke. I'm just saying it is hilarious that Britain's now like, you know what the problem is? We're going to ban smoking if you're under. What are they going to do? Go to bars and go, who was born in 2009? You're going to jail. You're getting a ticket. They don't care about your fucking health. So I'm just saying Palantir's putting out this manifesto, and some of it sounds very reasonable, right? Like all cultures are not created equal. Like Western civilization is good. And like, a religious death cult where people believe in witches is bad. It's like, yeah, we get all of that. Okay. But it's not so much that. It's the whole, and we're all going to join the military, and we're all going to go to war, and we're going to wrap this in the blanket of Christianity. I mean, they're talking about religious intolerance. They're lighting children on fire in Gaza. Their technology is being used for all of this stuff. It's very interesting to talk about religion and then build death machines. So I'm just saying we're heading to a place that no one will say is superior to where we are now. In the same way that no one says 2026 is superior to 2016. No one is going to say if we keep going the way we're going, no one is going to say 2036 is superior to 2026. Even though at that point you could probably talk to your dead mother. You could probably talk to an AI version of your dead son who died in a car accident. Jimmy, is that you? No one's going to think it's better. No one's going to think when you're heavily drugged up in your little box talking to dead relatives, AI-created dead relatives, that it is better than now. And no one says that. And that's the problem. Because there were times when you look back when people go, fuck, this is a lot better than it was. But this tech seems to have stopped making our lives better. Now, a lot of sociopaths would disagree with me. And I like some of them. Because the thing about sociopaths is that they're charming. A lot of them are very nice. They're fun to get dinner with. They don't feel. It's not their fault. Some of them have evolved to be that way. Some of them are born that way. It's just what it is. I'm not a doctor. And they're fun to have dinner with, and they're lovely, and they're actually, a lot of them are good comedy audiences. Some not so much, some are. But that's basically, because their argument is going to be there's more ways to get rich now than ever. And I talk to them, and I'll sit down with them. I don't join these private clubs in New York. I hate that idea. I go to restaurants. I'll sit down with people. You go out in the Hamptons. You have a fucking, a baked clam. And they tell you, they go, there's more ways to get rich now than ever. Look at you. They go, look at you. You're on YouTube. Look at you. You're on YouTube. Suck an oyster down. There's nothing in the eye, just black eyes. But that's not a society. More ways to get rich than ever is not a society. That's like not a society. It's not a culture. It's actually nothing. It's a casino. There's more ways to get rich in a casino than a lot of other buildings, right? Like a church or a banquet hall or a restaurant or a hospital. Like there's almost no ways to get rich in any of those buildings. And in a casino, there's like tons of ways to get rich. But you wouldn't necessarily say that you should get rid of all those other buildings and then just have a big casino and like move the hospital in there and put a wedding chapel in there and just live in the casino. You go, no, the casino's like something we all go to occasionally. We have a fun weekend. We go see like a band. We go to the club. We get drunk. We eat bad food. We smoke some cigarettes. We stay up late. We gamble. That's no good. But what everyone's saying now is no. We're going to live here in the casino and we're going to get healthy. We're not going to eat the bad food and we're not going to drink. And you're like, wait, what? And they're like, no, we're going to be in the casino sober. And you go, that sounds terrible. And they go, no, it's actually great. We're sober, we're eating healthy, and we're in the casino and we're going to live forever. And you go, but I want out. Like I want to leave the casino. There is no out. And you go, why? And they go, well, everything else has been destroyed by a nuclear war. And that's the economy that we've created. There's more ways to get rich than ever before. But that's not a society. That's not a culture. And that's barely aspirational. I guess you just want a lot of money for the sake of having a lot of money. You could buy an apartment on the top of a building or a really big house or a boat. I mean, but it's actually not a cohesive, fulfilling culture on any level. And the people that are driving it right now and telling you how great it is are the people that want to live 24/7 in the casino. And they don't only want to live there, they want to live forever there. They can get richer and richer and richer. I don't understand the point of that, really. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's not a cohesive, fulfilling cultural standard for most people. There are lots of risk takers that want to make lots of money, but if we create a world where you can either be really rich if you adopt some AI crypto scam, but like if you don't, then like your communities are going to just turn into fentanyl zombie parades. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Nobody wants the life. When I grew up, the rich guy, and I understand some of this, by the way, because I meet a lot of these people. I know a lot of these people. There's a loneliness, lonely at the top, like, right? Like the rich guy was always portrayed as like, not always a Scrooge character, but, kind of he was set apart, in all the Stephen King novels, the mysterious billionaire who weirdly controls the town, Mr. Burns in The Simpsons, this, that, and the other thing. They had the big house, it was kind of empty, even Batman, the Bruce Wayne, he's doing good, whatever, I'm pro Batman, but like there was a weirdness to his life. It was like an odd, it was like a weirdness to being like super rich. There is. Look at these people. Altman, Bezos. I mean, are they humans? Does he look human? Like Bezos and Lauren Sanchez? Like they're like Michael Dell. Get Michael Dell and his wife up right now. Shout out to Michael Dell, friend of the show. Get Michael Dell and a wife. This is super rich. Get him up. Get that photo to the left. Make it big. Make it big. Make it big here. Get them big as you can. This is the rich. This is the super rich. I mean, her eyes just go right through you, don't they? I mean, her eyes go right through you. I mean, that is... All right, take it off. I'm actually starting to get uncomfortable. But what I mean by that is like the idea when I grew up was not to be like loaded and rich. Like I'm happy I have a lot of money. I love money. I tell people all the time, it's great to have money. It's great to be able to help people with money. And it's great to be able to drive nice cars and have nice things and have nice houses. And I'm never going to deny that. I get it. But this idea that that's like the only thing is crazy. It's psychotic. And I know a lot of people that are incredibly happy, deeply fulfilled human beings that are not wealthy. And when I grew up, again, it was the goal was not to have like inordinate amounts of money. I was like broke for like 15 years doing stand-up, like doing comedy, like, you know, maybe like 12, 13 years. I started to make money like 13 years into comedy. Like, so this idea that, and there was some of the happiest times of my life. So the idea that we've created a culture where people only find hope on the very high end, and it's such a status-driven culture, and tech has made that. It has greatly enhanced that because it has showcased all of these things to the world as universal goods. Like, this is a universal good. That was not the way we grew up. We grew up with the idea that to be solidly middle class and live in a community where you knew and respected people and you raised children there and those people respected you and you took pride in that community and there were cool things in your community and people would fight and tease each other as like, our thing's better than your thing and da-da-da-da-da. And all the shows we watched kind of confirmed that was the American way of life. And the American way of life is not like a huge... like Miami-based crypto AI casino roulette wheel. But that's what it is now. And Palantir are telling you that. They're going, listen, soft power ain't going to work. We've lost that. A lot of the people that come to this country and visit it, they go around, they go, what the hell's happening? So hard power is all that's left. Drones, a couple of killer robots, some drones, some killer robots, and keep your mouth shut. And join the military. And we'll fight who we want to fight. Isn't it fun to say join the military? I mean, there's no reason where no one's even explained why we're in the Iran war. They don't care. Palantir goes, join the fucking military. What do you give a fuck? Shut up. And no one feels better today than they did 15 years ago. And yet, all of this tech is here. So how are we going to feel in 10 years? How are we going to feel with predictive crime models? What's dating like in 10 years when you're just doing AI analysis or you're just dating the chatbot? Why even spend the time to do the AI analysis on what does all that look like? And I'm not a Luddite, so I make my living on the internet. I'm very happy I do. And there's no editors and there's nobody who tells me what to say. And that's not, that's new in history. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate technology. But you do have to wonder if there is a point where you do cross a certain threshold, and we're probably there already. I don't know. We're like, we no longer feel that any of this is making our life happier. Nobody feels happier than they did in 2010. By the way, in the midst of a financial collapse, 2008, 2009, 2010, these were not easy times. It was like a financial crisis. It was a global banking crisis. And people were happier than they are now. Interesting. This is awkward. Now, again, I have to earn a living from the show, so I don't think this negates the episode I just did. Truly. The Tim Dillon Show is sponsored by Palantir. Palantir has America's best interests at heart. Its advanced weapons technologies will usher in the new, well, you get it.